Pleasure of bringing up Tim before at a couple shows, and I had like a fancy intro I used to do with him, but I couldn't get it to work tonight, so I'm kind of going off the cuff here a little bit. So I was driving here in my car, and I was listening to Alanis. Ironic, right? Sorry, I'm a dad. Like I said, it's an obligation as a father. You got to do at least one a day, and that was mine. Punch the ticket. Okay, here we go. So I wrote a little intro song for him, so I apologize. My musical chops are not what they used to be. You know, old school, middle school chorus, that's fine. It's not about me, but here we go. So bear with me. A white man turned 30. He wanted a night out, so he invited you and me. Waited his whole damn life to have this show. So let's bring him up and get this thing on the road. 'Cause his name is Tim Kinsella. His name is Tim. I think it's pronounced Kinsella. His name is Tim Kinsella. Welcome to your show. Tim Kinsella, everybody! What just happened?
Thank you guys so much for coming out. Sorry, Mom and Dad for Michael set. It was a surprise. I didn't know they were coming. But yeah, no, it really does mean a lot to me that all of you came out. People have yelled at while Reffy Polo still came out. All the teams I've lived with, my family, all you guys have been great. I found it's really hard to put on a show. I didn't realize how hard it was. I thought I could just walk in somewhere and be like, hey, let's do a comedy show. And they'd be like, sure. That's not the case. Because this is my 30th birthday, and I'm doing 30 minutes. I wanted it to be somewhere special, so I reached out to Towson. I graduated from there, and it was the first time I did stand-up. And I was like, hey, can I do a show here? And their event coordinator was like, yeah, you can rent out a ballroom for $500. And I was like, no, like, I'd rather not. And they're like, well, reach out to the theater department. Maybe they can help you out. So I reached out to the theater department, and they're like, yeah, you can rent out a theater for $2,000. Like, you're going the wrong way. This isn't how it works. I also spent 6.5 years getting my degree from you. Give me something. It did take me 6.5 years to get my bachelor's. Hold your applause. It did. 6.5 years by normal standards is 2.5 years late. But by Harry Potter standards, I graduated a semester early. So. Thanks. Thank you guys. Harry was busy taking a gap year to be Wizard Hitler. I admit I was a really bad student. I have my degree, so I can joke about it now, but I was a really bad student. My first semester, and this is true, my GPA was a 0.6. Yeah, you know it's bad when your GPA is lower than your BAC. Yeah, worked hard. No, it was good. College was interesting. College was a weird time because I went to college to become a teacher, so I had to take all these education classes. Thanks, other teacher. I'm sorry, I'm not used to turning my head 90 degrees to look at the audience. This is, okay. I do. What's up, no tweets? No, I had to take these education classes, and one of my classes was educational psychology. And thank you for your nod of approval. And the professor told me something in that class that I will never forget. Right? He stands up in front of the entire class and goes, never refer to your kids as student, or your students as kids. I've had a few shots. But he goes, never refer to your students as kids. And I'm like, that's what they are. Like, I don't know what else to call them. He goes, kids is also the word for baby goats. And people might get confused. That's never happened. I've never walked up to someone and been like, hey, because I'm a gym teacher, I've never been like, hey, I was teaching my kids basketball the other day, and they're like, whoa. You were teaching baby goats basketball? How do they do that with their little hooves? Yeah, I am a teacher now. Cool, thanks for your support. I have at least 2 teachers in the audience. But I am a teacher now, and because of that, my name gets butchered on a daily basis. Right, I've gotten Castillo, I've gotten Gonzalez. I don't know why kids think I'm Spanish. Kids are dumb. Worst one I ever got, though, was from this 14-year-old girl. She was one of my students. I wasn't just like hanging out with 14-year-old girls. And she comes up to me during class, and she goes, Mr. Teacher Person. I'm like, no, I'll answer your question when you call me by my real name. She goes, Mr. Kid Snatcher. Nope, you're right the first time. Please don't call me that in school. So I go by Mr. K now. I don't think Kinsella is that hard of a last name. It's actually a pretty famous last name. It's, for anybody who's seen Field of Dreams, the main character, right, is named Ray Kinsella. And everybody's seen Field of Dreams. That's like the Citizen Kane for white people. That joke was for me. People get confused by my first name, too, which is weird. Right, because it's Tim. It's a short, common name, and people don't know how to spell it. They ask me more often than you think how to spell it, and I'm like, hey, yeah, my name's Tim. They're like, oh, how do you spell it? I'm like, how do you think I spell it? Like, with a Y? So I'm starting to mess with people. They're like, yeah, Tim, how do you spell it? Silent P. It's like pterodactyl. Yeah, teaching's fun. It's interesting because so much has changed, right? Like, since I was a student to even college to now, so much has changed in such a short amount of time. For example, kids no longer sit Indian style, they sit Washington football style. Go Birds. Kids are also mean nowadays, right? I had an incident with a couple first graders the other day. That sounds weird out of context, but and I shouldn't say the other day, we're 3 months in the summer, but I had an incident with a couple first graders, and it's me and another gym teacher in my school, right? There's 2 of us, and for the sake of the story, let's just call him Mr. Smith. Because that's his name. So, me and Mr. Smith are in the gym, and these 2 first graders are sitting down, they're talking to each other, like murmuring, gossiping. I don't really know what first graders gossip about. Like, hey, you see that bitch fell outside the lines the other day? But they're talking and murmuring, and Mr. Smith leaves the gym, so it's just me. Right? And then one pipes up, right? She goes, I know what we should do. We should have Mr. Smith, because he's like the boss of the gym. I'm like, oh, what does that make me? Am I the assistant boss? She goes, no, you're nothing. Alright, cool, I'll just be in my office crying if you need me. Oh, God, Eric. Yeah, back in college, I went to, I don't have a segue for this story, so just bear with me. Back in college, I went to church with my ex-girlfriend, and we were still dating at the time. We didn't, We didn't like break up and then go to church together. That would have been weird. Hey, you know what'll help? God, I don't really know, but no, we went to church together, and she was raised Methodist and I was raised Catholic. I'm Irish, so I'm automatically Catholic. That's just like how it works. You're born with a cross in one hand and the Guinness in the other. My EpiPen is just a shot of Jameson. So I did go to church with her, and things were pretty similar, to what I know. But until we got to communion, and for those of you who don't know, communion is the part of church where you eat Jesus. So, okay, fair enough. So we go, and the priest comes up and he says something really weird, right? He comes up and he goes, all right, so we have the bread and we have the wine. Also, this church was in Delaware, so I don't know why I had a southern accent, but he goes, we have the bread and we have the wine, and if you want, you can choose to dunk the bread into the wine. And I'm like, that's new. Like, two things though. Isn't that the body of Christ into the blood of Christ? Like what kind of Hannibal Lecter shit is going on here? And second of all, what if I don't feel comfortable dunking my Lord and Savior, right? Like, what if I feel more comfortable going for 3? Just take a piece of the bread and step back behind the pews, just Kobe! But that wasn't even the weirdest thing. He says something even weirder after that. He gets up. He goes, when you come up, just let me know, because if you want, we have a gluten-free option. Gluten-free Jesus? That's where we're at nowadays. So the priest has 2 options, right? He can either break kayfabe, right? 2 wrestling fans in the crowd. He can either break kayfabe and say, hey, it's just bread, whatever. Or he needs to say a reason why there's a gluten-free Jesus, right? There needs to be a biblical story explaining why this exists. I want to hear that story. Right, I want to see what goes out. There's everybody's hanging out at the crucifixion, just like Jesus is just there. And the guy just like, hey, look at him now, you're all powerful Lord and Savior. Hey, what do you have to say about him now? One guy in the back just pipes up like, excuse me, after this was over with, we were going to eat him? Do you have any gluten-free options? Like, fine, here's regular Jesus, here's edible arrangement Jesus. Yeah. Because I'm a teacher, I used to go to therapy. I say used to, not because I got better, but because my therapist ghosted me. Same? Did we have the same therapist? Are we allowed to say that? Okay, I'll yell at you later, and we'll figure this out. He's the guy. Okay. The team gets it. Anyway, therapist. He goes to me, and we've been seeing each other for like 6 months, and I think that's like the worst time to go somewhere, right? Because I was just about to tell my parents I was seeing someone, So here's how it went down, right? I logged in because it was virtual, because that's how the world works. And I logged in and he didn't. And I'm like, this is a problem. Like, you should be here. This is a 2-man operation. Right. So I sent him an email. I'm like, hey, hope everything is okay. Let me know if you need anything from me. We can talk this out. Just get back to me when you can. XOXO Tim. And have you talked to your therapist? So he doesn't respond. Thursday, Friday, over the weekend, Monday, still no response. So I sent him a second email. I'm like, hey, I don't know what's going on, right? But we can talk through this. Just let me know what I can do to help. If I did something wrong, let me know. Let me do this. Tim. No response Monday, no response during the week. Thursday rolls around. Again, I log in and he doesn't. Okay, so I send him a third email. I'm like, okay, listen up. This is not how you treat someone like me. Okay? There are plenty of other therapists out there. I can choose whoever I want. Okay? This is not how you treat someone like me. So the next day I call the office. I'm like, hey, he hasn't logged into appointments. He hasn't answered the emails. What's going on? And the office goes, yeah, he's in jury duty. Sorry for not telling you. Yeah. Like, you gotta tell me things. I'm in there. Like, I can't just not know things, right? So I sent him a 4th email, and I'm like, hey, ignore the first 3 emails. Hope everything's cool. I heard you're in jury duty. Have fun. Send pics. And, we'll talk when we're back together. He responds immediately to this one. Right? Immediately. And he goes, hey, sorry for not telling you. Things came up with me very quickly. I would love to get back together. Unfortunately, I no longer work for the practice. What happened on this court case? Is he in witness? Is this a Goodfellas situation? Did he snitch on another therapist? Okay, who in the courtroom violated HIPAA? He's the one who violated HIPAA. Okay, alright. Goodfellas too outdated? Oh, it's just a bad joke. Okay, cool. I do work other jobs. I'm not just a teacher. I have the summers off. Thank you. I have the summers off, so I need something to do. I also don't get paid enough as a teacher, so I need to work another job. Thanks, other teachers. But yeah, so my first summer job, I was a lifeguard, right? And I applied, and they were like, hey, to be a lifeguard, you gotta pass the test. First thing, swim 12 laps in this pool, and then we'll move on. I'm like, okay, sounds easy enough. 2 laps in, I run out of breath, and I start to drown. Like, that's a problem. Right? Like, who's gonna save me, right? Who's gonna guard my life? Like, who watches The Watchmen, right? Okay, so you watch Watchmen, but not Goodfellas. Okay, fine. So they're like, no big deal, just like practice, get back in shape, do the test again, you'll be fine. Right, so I went to the Y to get in lifeguard shape. Here's the thing about the Y. Old men love being naked at the Y. Like, they walk around, just dicks out, doing the Vince McMahon strut. It's like nobody's business. I don't think I can do that joke anymore during recent events, but but I don't care if you're naked in the locker, right? That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is when you block my passage and from the locker to the pool, and I have to navigate through your old man dick maze to get in there. Right? It's like a laser maze, but instead of lasers, it's old man dicks. I'm just gonna do like, excuse me, pardon me, if I could just under here and here, watch the food around here, go there, almost. Oh man, that's that one off. I did become a lifeguard though. I did pass my test, become a lifeguard. I would sit in my hang chair, watch some people swim all day in my lifeguard uniform. I had to wear a shirt that said lifeguard, a bathing suit that said lifeguard, the big red tube that said lifeguard, and people would come up to me and be like, hey man, are you the lifeguard? Nah, this is just my Baywatch cosplay. Like yes, I'm the lifeguard. Like, you know how creepy it would be if I wasn't the lifeguard? I just bought lifeguard apparel in my own high chair and stand at people? So, I am too old to be a lifeguard though, that's the thing. I am getting old, I'm almost 30. Tomorrow, okay. I got like 12 more hours, I think, maybe. 4 o'clock tomorrow. That was when I was born. So that's anyway. I'll check a little bit. But yeah, I am old. I feel old. I walked out my house the other day. I rolled my ankle and I hurt my neck. That's just what happens. I also feel like I should be doing stuff that older people should be doing. Like, I'm trying to teach myself how to cook. Right? I never really got that down, so I've been watching a lot of Food Network. Right? I love watching the show Chopped. You guys know Chopped, right? Yeah, not the best show to learn how to cook from, but whatever. Like, there are shows that teach you how to cook, and I'm like, no, I want to challenge myself. Right, so I watched Chopped, and it's really cool, but I think they should make a college version of Chopped, where just all the ingredients are college related. Just like open up your baskets, like it's like, in your baskets you have Natty Light, mac and cheese, leftover pizza, and an entire fraternity brother. And then it's just 3 sorority girls as judges, just like, yes, oh my god, food! There'll be 3 of them because they can't eat it. I do, like, one of my other jobs, I'm no longer a lifeguard, so my summer job is repping for Volo. It's funny, because every other show, like, you guys know what Volo is? This is like, I'm doing my show to Volo right now. No, it is a lot of fun, except when people take it way too seriously. And, no offense. Joke's not about you, okay? No, it is usually a good time, but I had an incident last summer. I was refereeing a kickball game in Patterson Park, and there was a close play at home, and I called the runner out. She thinks she's safe, right? And we get into a little bit of an argument. I'm like, I think you're out, so you're out. Right? This happened in the 2nd inning of a 7-inning game. Right? For the next 5 innings, she argues with me. That's the worst call we've ever seen. What are you doing out there? Get yourself together. We want someone new next week. At a certain point, I just hear, like, the parents from Charlie Brown just like, wah. But then at the end of the game, she comes up to me. Right? She's like, I just want you to know that you've cost us the game. And I say, I just want you to know your team lost 23-5.
What's going on here?
I did not cost you 18 runs. Okay? Your team sucks. I didn't say that, boss. That was in my head. It's a joke. Thank you for the microphone. So before I get into, I want to talk about how I spent 2020 with you guys, but before I get into that, I do have one impression under my belt. Do you guys want to hear it?
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to do it anyway. It's my fucking birthday, so.
Not too
I think that's the first time I said the F word for my parents. They've said it in front of me a fair amount. They're very adamant about that. What the heck? But yeah, so here's my one impression. Okay, this is the one impression I can do as a comedian. This is my impression of Jerry Seinfeld if he was on Game of Thrones. Okay? That's not the impression, that's the intro. What's the deal with Castle Black? The wall is white, the snow is white, the people are white, the walkers are white. It should be called Castle White. Thank you guys. Hey, Seinfeld had the nerve to go 9 seasons. Game of Thrones couldn't do that. That's topical. But okay, me and you have that joke. That's for us. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna talk about how I spent 2020 with you guys. Remember 2020? remember like 10 years ago, 2020, we've been doing a lot in these past 2 years, but before I get into how I did, I do have a question for the audience. Have any of you guys ever brought a cat to orgasm?
I said recently.
No please? Anyone? Just me? Cool. All right. Some of you guys like asked each other, like, have you? I don't, you know, one, I got 1 star or anything that happened. Baltimore jokes. No, here, let me explain, okay? What if I just didn't explain? What if I just like, hey guys, you hear about Ukraine? What's going on there? No, back to the end. So, in June 2020, I started dating this girl, which is the perfect time to start dating someone, right? 3 months into a global pandemic. We met because our friends met on Hinge, right? My friend started dating her friend, and they met on Hinge, and they were like, hey, you two should also date. So we did. So we were kind of like Hinge once removed. Okay, that was her mom's joke, so okay. So she had a 3-legged cat named Neptune, right? And okay, some of you guys got it immediately. Some of us, you know, took 6.5 years to graduate college, guys, okay? So, she had a 3-legged cat named Neptune, right? Because the god Neptune had a trident with 3 prongs, right? And the cat only had 3 prongs, so you know, you put 3 and 3 together, that's kind of what it means. And I was like, what? Hold on, like the god didn't have 3 legs, right? His trident did. So name the cat after the trident. And like I'm thinking it's a Thor Mjolnir situation, right? Maybe the trident has this awesome godlike name. So I looked it up. You guys know what it's called? The Trident. She's like, I'm not naming my cat Trident. So that'd be hilarious. Also, you don't have to name a Trident, you can just call him the cat. Right, so it was her, me, and Neptune on the couch, and he went to say he had 2 front, 1 back leg, and he went to scratch the back of his head. Right, so he goes to scratch the one side of his head, he gets it, goes to scratch the other side of his head, forgets he doesn't have that leg. Happens to the best of us. Right? So my ex is just like, you know what, you should just find the spot he can't reach. I'm like, okay, so I go to scratch the back of his head, right, his eyes roll back, right, his mouth is agape, his one back leg starts quivering, and she's on the side of me going, yeah, right there, that's where he likes it, right there, keep going, and he lets out a little, and I'm like, what just happened? Like, at least buy me dinner next time. I'm like, jeez. And Neptune was a cool cat. He was a cool cat. He was fat at heart though. That's the thing. He was a normal sized cat, but he had the mindset of a fat cat, right? Like, because her house was 3 stories, and his automatic feeder was on the 3rd story, right? But he would chill on the 1st floor, right? And you can't blame him. Only got 3 of those, right? So when we would go up to the 2nd or 3rd floor, he would whine, he'd complain, he'd meow, right? But as soon as his feeder went off, he would sprint up 2 flights of stairs like a little Usain Bolt, just. Right. Well, I guess he's more like Oscar Pistorius. I told my ex that joke, and she was like, I don't get it. And I was like, you know, Oscar Pistorius, you know, he was the Olympic track runner, like, lost both his legs, ran on prosthetics, and she's like, oh, okay, that's kind of funny. And I'm like, yeah, he murdered his girlfriend. She's like, what? Like, do you not know about this? Her response was, I don't watch sports. And I'm like, this isn't like asking who the Super Bowl MVP was last year. Like, this was national news. Like, weeks on end, they're covering the trial of him and his girlfriend. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, do you really not know who he is? Do you also not know who OJ is? Like, I don't... Okay, 90s references. Goodfellas gone. OJ gone. I need to get up to... My parents, I hope, got that joke. They were laughing.
I was 6th, 7th grade.
Thanks for coming back. Actually, no, I became a teacher because my mom was a teacher. No, she did. She worked with kids with autism for 12 years before she retired. That's great. Yeah, that's great. The fact that she did that with her career, not the fact that kids have autism. That's not so great. That's what they get for being vaccinated. I wrote that joke in 2018. I did not expect it to age this well. Anyway, back to my ex. I know it's weird. I talk a lot about my ex on stage. Okay, I acknowledge it. It's weird, but my therapist goes to me, so here we are. Okay. No, a fun fact about my ex, she was actually missing a rib, right? She had a procedure done, and she had stuff going on. She went to the doctor and got checked out by the doctor. And the doctor's like, I think I need to take out your rib. I'm like, you think? Shouldn't you know? You're a doctor at Johns Hopkins. You should know. I'm like, well, what if it doesn't work? You put the rib back in? And she goes, no, I can't do that. I'm like, well, okay. They're giving us a lot of options here. So we had to tell everyone that she had to get her rib removed, and this is how we found out her roommate was a psychopath. Right? So, she tells me, she's like, I need to get my rib removed. I'm like, okay, anything you need, right? Like, I'll run errands, I'll cook dinners, whatever you need from me, let me know. Her parents are like, whatever you need from us, we'll come visit, you can stay with us, whatever you need. Right? Her sister, who is a nurse, goes, whatever you need from me, I'll ask colleagues, I'll look into it, like, whatever you need, let me know. Her roommate goes, can I have it? That should be at least the third question you ask, right? Like, what happened? Are you okay? Can I have it? Right? Like, lead into it a little bit. Right? So here's what we did. We decided to mess with them. I went to Mission Barbecue and I ate some ribs. Some of you know where this is going. I ate some ribs, and we took the rib, put it in a pill box, printed out a label from Johns Hopkins with her name and info on it, printed out a letterhead with her doctor's fake signature on it, with a little letter like, this is really weird, but sure, you can have your rib back, doctor, whatever. And then we put it into a pill box, we put it into a Christmas gift, we wrapped it up, and we gave it to him for Christmas. And he opens it up, and he takes one rip of it, and he just looks at us like, is this what I think it is? And we're looking at him like, I don't know, maybe. So he takes a little bit more, realizes what it is, and tears it apart like a little kid opening up a PS5. He's just like, oh my god, this is exactly what I wanted. This is the only thing I want this year. And he puts it on his mantle, right? And to this day, 2.5 years later, it is still there. So that is how I spent 2020. Alright, thank you guys so much for coming out. I'm going to hand it back to Erin, but seriously, thank you again, sorry for the delay. Please, Erin, thank you.